Hello everyone, welcome to my Python tutorial. This tutorial is dedicated for Python list. So if you are interested in mastering Python list, then this tutorial is meant for you. So we start by looking at the introduction of list. What is actually a Python list? A Python list is a collection or container that can store multiple elements. Now, it means that whatever a Python list contains is referred to as an element or sometimes as an item. So, how do we start declaring a Python list? We can start by creating an empty Python list by first of all having a variable on the left hand side and a square bracket without any value inside. So this is an empty list. But if we are interested in creating a list that contains values, then we have to define a variable, in this case names, with two values that have been included within the square bracket, and each one is separated by another using a comma. So this is technically a Python list that contains multiple elements, right? Okay, so there are a couple of things I would like you to know about a Python list. And these things I have classified them as characteristics of a Python list. The first characteristic is that a Python list is ordered, meaning that values can be accessed, or you can get the values based on how they are assigned. So in this case, we have John being the first value and Jane Doe being the second value. So if we are to retrieve John in this case, it means that John is at the first index, which is 0, and Jane is at the second index, which is 1. So when we run this, we are going to see, I think we have an error here. So I'm quickly going to correct the error. The error is basically name error. So how are we going to correct this? I use name, which is singular, to refer to names, which is plural. So the only thing I have to do here is to simply add an S and run it again, and everything works perfectly well. So basically, that is it about ordered characteristic of a Python list. Now, for the zero indexed characteristics, this typically means that elements can be accessed by indices with the first starting from index 0. So just like what we have above, the first value of any list is always at the 0 index position. So the second value is just an increment of 1, which makes this one to be at the 1 position of, at the index position 1, right? Okay, so now this is technically what I have to say for now about the 0 indexed characteristic of a Python list. Now, the next is mutability. So when do we say that a Python list is mutable? A Python list can be said to be mutable when elements that are specified at a certain index can be altered. So let's say, for instance, we have John over here, and we have Jane Doe as the second element. What if we have decided that John and Jane are a couple? And that means that both of them have to share the same surname. So we want to alter John to become John Doe. How do we do that? So the first thing that we have to do is to access the John's position, which is at 0 position, and write the content at that position, which is John, and include Doe. So when we output again at this point, we output print names of the first name, the first person, then we are technically going to have John Doe as our feedback. Okay, I don't want you to get it twisted at this time. Here, the first John is when we have not altered the John element in the names list. So it still remains our John. And the second John is after we have made an alteration and we now have access to the changed value, which is now John Doe. So that is what this is all about. Now, the next characteristic, which is even interesting, is heterogeneous characteristic of the elements. So this basically means that an element or all the elements in a given list might assume different data types. So let me give you an example. In this case, we have 1, which is a number, and you have A, which is a character, and we have 3.5, which is still a number but is of a float type. The one over here is actually an integer, so this is a float, and we can still contain other data types. In this case, for example, we can include something like a tuple, and if we include this and maybe E, right? Okay, so it can actually contain different data types. All right, okay, so that is it about the heterogeneous nature of a Python list. The next one is the iterable characteristic. So this allows you to traverse a list using a loop while you perform operations on each of the elements. So I'm going to use this to show you an example of how this actually works. So I'm going to traverse over my list and print. I'm going to traverse over my list and print each element in that list. Okay, now I have said for L, which actually is the short for element, I just want to use it that way. For L in my list, print L. So now let's see what it gives us. You can see that each element is printed on different lines. So that's it about this. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in our next topic on this series. Remember, if you are so much interested and passionate about mastering Python list, then this series is meant for you. There are a lot of things you are going to learn moving forward. So just anticipate the next topic, and just in a couple of days, they will keep dropping on this YouTube channel. Before you go, I would like you to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and do well to share this video to your friends, because if you try to learn alone, it won't actually benefit the it won't be of the benefit of this broadcast. The essence of this broadcast is to make sure that we get across to as many people as possible, so we make coding with Python to be very easy. You can actually achieve a lot with the skills. So for now, thank you for watching once again, and see you in our next video. Bye.